Celebrities like Rkelly and Suge Knight are serving long sentences for serious offences, and they're just a few examples. Stay tuned as we explore the famous faces who are still locked up and the reasons behind their imprisonment.
Rkelly is spending more time in prison after being sentenced federally for child pornography and enticement of minors for sex. He got 20 years in prison today.
Hip-hop star Marion Hugh Suge Knight Jr. was the CEO of Death Row Records, and in January 2015, he had an altercation with a man named Clay Bone Sloan, who worked on the biopic Straight Outta Compton. The fight got so intense that Knight ended up grazing Sloan with his vehicle and running over a man named Terry Carter, who died from his injuries. 3 years later, Knight entered a plea deal and was sentenced to 22 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter and 6 years for a third strike violation, which totaled 28 years behind bars. He has been serving time at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego County, California, since 2018 and isn't eligible for parole until 2037. You probably remember a man named Jared Fogle from the Subway sandwich commercials.
For years, I ate fried food and burgers that looked like this. And I looked like this. Then I found Subway restaurants. And I realized I could enjoy lots of great tasting food without lots of fat. Like the tasty sweet onion chicken teriyaki sandwich, juicy chicken strips, veggies, and a delicious sweet onion sauce.
When he was just 20 years old, he weighed over 400 pounds. He decided to change his life in 1998 by exercising and eating 2 sandwiches from Subway every day. A few years later, things took a very dark turn. During a plea deal with authorities in 2015, he confessed to receiving child pornography and having sex with minors, according to NPR. He was involved in interstate travel to pay for sex and possessed 400 videos of illicit pornography. Even worse, many of the videos were sent to him by the head of his charity, according to prosecutors in the case against him. Fogle was sentenced to over 15 years in prison and won't be eligible for parole until he's served at least 13 years. Fogle was also reportedly ordered to pay restitution to 14 minors that he assaulted, to the tune of $1.4 million.
Let's call this what it is. This is about using wealth, status, and secrecy to illegally exploit children.
Michael Jace, who you may know for the television police drama The Shield, shot his wife in front of their 2 children in their Los Angeles home in 2014. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison for the murder. The motive for the killing appeared to be jealousy. His wife, April Jace, wanted a divorce, and the 53-year-old actor was convinced she was dating another man.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Michael Andrew Jace, guilty of the crime of murder of April Jace.
Film mogul Harvey Weinstein is in prison based on the allegations of just 2 people, Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann, even though dozens of women, a whopping 87, spoke out about the sexual abuse they experienced at his hands over the years. Weinstein was arrested in New York and charged with rape, committing a criminal sex act, sexual abuse, and sexual misconduct in 2018. In 2020, the producer was found guilty of committing a criminal sexual act against Haley and rape in the 3rd degree. He was found not guilty of predatory sexual assault and rape in the 1st degree against Jessica Mann. Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison and is a registered sex offender.
We had one instance in a hotel room where he made a pass at me. And then I really kind of stood up to him. I told my boyfriend.
New Orleans rapper C. Murder, born Corey Miller, was convicted of second-degree murder for killing a teen named Steve Thomas in a nightclub in 2002. The rapper started serving a life sentence in Louisiana State Penitentiary in 2009.
And now these cops on my jock boy. I breed with them.
Singer Rkelly was arrested by the feds on July 11, 2019 in Chicago. He and a few associates allegedly recruited young girls for sexual encounters, isolated them from their families, and controlled them so they wouldn't seek help. In June 2022, Kelly was given 30 years in prison following his sex trafficking conviction the year before, as per Forbes, while in September he was found guilty of producing child pornography, with his attorneys requesting the sentence be limited to 11 years.
30 years did he do this, and 30 years is what he got.
In 2013, actress Shannon Guess Richardson, known for her role on The Walking Dead, pleaded guilty to developing, producing, possessing, and transferring a toxin with the intent to use it as a weapon. She mailed threatening, poison-laced letters to then-President Barack Obama and 2 other people. Richardson bought supplies for the plot using a credit card and account under her husband's name, and she made the poison ricin using castor beans in the home she shared with her husband and 4 children. She was also pregnant while making the concoction. She mailed the letters to Obama, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and a man named Michael Glaze, who was employed by mayors against illegal guns. The FBI collected and examined all of the correspondence. Richardson wrote about gun control in the letters and tried to set up her husband for the crime by planting evidence in his car and lunchbox. Despite her attempt to frame him, she was arrested in 2013 and eventually given an 18-year sentence. Richardson is serving time in a federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas, and could be released in 2029. She is not eligible for parole. Nathaniel Glover, aka Kid Creole, is a founding member of hip-hop group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. In 2017, Glover, 61, was arrested and charged with murder in the second degree after stabbing a man named John Jolly in the chest. Glover and Jolly, a registered sex offender, had an altercation in Midtown Manhattan. In 2022, that Glover went to trial where he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Todd and Julie Chrisley achieved widespread recognition for their reality show Chrisley Knows Best, which first debuted in 2014. The program follows the married couple and their children in the South as they go about their lives as a regular family. The couple were charged with tax evasion, conspiracy, bank fraud, and wire fraud on August 12, 2019. This culminated on June 7, 2022, with the both of them being found guilty on all counts, though with separate sentences. Todd's 12-year sentence is being spent at FPC Pensacola, as Julie spends her sentence of 7 years at FMS, ends up spending 2 years in taxes. Julie spends her sentence of 7 years at FMS and other sentences being spent at FPC Lexington, Kentucky. In 2023, the couple's prison sentences were shortened, with Todd expected to be released in 2033 and Julie in 2028.
That's reality star Todd Chrisley arriving at a federal prison camp in Pensacola in a gray Range Rover.
Joe Exotic entered the public consciousness with the release of the massively popular 2020 Netflix documentary series Tiger King. It chronicled the bizarre world of big cat collectors with an emphasis on the even more bizarre Exotic, who, in addition to running the GW Zoo in Winterwood, Oklahoma, also dabbled in guns, cultivating a career in country music, and running for political office. However, the highlight of the show was Exotic's intensifying clashes with Carol Baskin, an animal rights activist, which culminated in his attempt to eliminate her for good by hiring a hitman for $3,000. Of course, Exotic's murder-for-hire scheme didn't go unnoticed by the authorities, nor did his other unlawful actions. His other crimes included the killing of 5 tigers, selling baby lemurs, despite filing them as donations, and other wildlife violations. In 2020, the United States Attorney's Office, Western District of Oklahoma, handed Exotic a 22-year prison sentence, in addition to 3 years of supervised release after he served his sentence. Bloomberg Law states that while he managed to reduce his sentence by 1 year previously, Exotic's 2022 appeal to decrease it by another 8.5 years was shot down by the US Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit.
I am grateful that justice was served and Joe Fogle Maldonado Passage hopefully will serve time in prison and no longer present a threat either to me or to his former big cats.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.